What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video, and in today's video, it looks like the Force is with us on May 4th because Blizzard just announced, and didn't maybe intend to announce, 3 huge things that are going to affect Prepatch, TBC, and live Classic WoW right now. So I want to share with you what those things were, their impacts, and then also talk about them from my perspective and what I think about it as well in this video. So there's going to be 3 huge things. The first thing we're going to be jumping into is the Skullflame shield and Demonforged breastplate changes. If you guys did not know, last Thursday evening, the beta went down for a little bit. There were some changes that went live to change the downranking of spells in TBC. Those downranking of spells change ended up changing the way that Skullflame shield and Demonforged breastplate scaled. And so you can see here, or back then you could see that the Skullflame shield scaled at 100% of your spell power for the healing, and the Demonforged breastplate scaled at 40% of the spell power for the healing. However, the changes dropped that to 10% for Skullflame shield and 5% for Demonforged breastplate. Well, I'm happy to say that those changes have been reverted. I didn't think that they would be, to be completely honest, but they have been reverted, and Skullflame shield and Demonforged breastplate are now working differently. Now, it's not necessarily a one-to-one kind of change, because what you're actually going to see is that Skullflame shield is going to have a range of values that it heals for between, it looks like 65 and 73 for me, and I have 392 spell power. And it looks like Skullflame shield is going to heal for 404 on the dot. So here I get healed for 66, another time I'll get healed for 65, another time is 73. So Demonforged breastplate has like a range of healing, it looks like it does. But the Skullflame shield is locked in at 404. Now, this isn't exactly a 100% spell power scaling on that Skullflame shield, but rather it looks like a 95-ish% spell power scaling, whereas the Demonforged breastplate is scaling from between about a 30 to 38% spell power coefficient. Either way, though, this is massively better than it was, and it's going to make it a lot easier to try to do these AoE farms, because now you're going to be able to heal through the abilities and be able to keep yourself up, so you're going to be able to do the Paladin, 1 pull, and SM, and things like that. So all that is fixed. Let's talk about whether or not this should have been fixed, because there's a lot of controversy about that, and the impact it's going to have to Classic right now. So here's the downranking thing, and this basically just says, in summation, that spells below 20, as they do work in Classic, don't get full spell power. Spells above 20 get a scaling reduced spell power coefficient and healing coefficient. This is to combat people just being able to sit there with like rank 4 Flash of Light and Holy Light and things like that and just heal infinitely in TBC. And so this was changed. However, a lot of people think that the Skullflame shield and Demonforged breastplate nerf was intended with this, and I can confirm that it was not. Now, the 2 different ways that I confirmed were looking at Hobbs' old videos, actually on stream, and confirming with Hobbs' old videos that they did not scale down Skullflame shield, and it was still 100%. But then you can also look at old forum posts. And so here you can see patch 2.4.3 was released on July 15th, 2008. And then in a forum post on August 18th of 2008, so, you know, about a month and 3 days later, which is still patch 2.4.3, Demonforged or Skullflame shield was tested with a spell power of 369 and scaled 100%. So you can see here that the healing of Drain Life, which is Skullflame shield, healed for 78,828, about 184. That's about 428 a proc. Minus 35 for the initial proc itself is 393. And so roughly it scaled at about a 100% spell power coefficient. And so we can see that these nerfs to Skullflame shield and Demonforged breastplate should not have been intended, or at least should not have worked like they did in TBC. I honestly expected, since we didn't hear any news about them, that they might have been intended. And so I'm ecstatic to see that this was fixed and that we can now, you know, get the full plus healing from Demonforged breastplate and Skullflame shield, and the full spell power build will again be the best way to do pre-patch AoE farming on a Paladin. 70 AoE farming is still out to be tested based on when we get much better gear. So what impact is this going to have on pre-patch, TBC, and everything like that? Well, pre-patch, it's 100% going to be an amazing item to use both Skullflame shield and Demonforged breastplate. TBC, we'll see once you get level 70, but for right now, it has a massive impact on the economy. So if you guys haven't been watching the roller coaster of Skullflame shield, it's actually been hysterical. This is currently the auction house on Pagel, which is one of the most large servers for PvE servers in Classic WoW. And Skullflame shield, over the past few days, has gone from 700 to about 1,500 to 800, and now back up to 1,400 gold per item. Because as these changes have gone through and as people have been wanting to buy Skullflame shields and wanting to offload Skullflame shields as investments, they've just been going crazy. And so it's very possible the Skullflame shield on your server has already, just like right here, increased back in price with this news that has just dropped. Demonforged Breastplate similarly has gone down and gone back up. If you look at the regional market value, it was about 403 gold, and now it looks like it's back up at 600 gold on Pagel as well. So it's wild, the whole roller coaster. So this has had a massive impact to the economy for these two items that have been really looked at as big investments for TBC and Prepatch. Moving on to number 2, we have that the Battle.net Launcher Leak reveals Burning Crusade Classic releasing June 1st. And I don't know if you can tell the excitement from my voice, but I am so excited about the fact that this might be coming out way sooner than I thought. To be honest, guys, I expected that Burning Crusade Classic was going to come out on around June 29th. And the reason for that was May 18th was the leaked pre-patch date based on data mining, plus 6 weeks for the original pre-patch would make it June 29th. That would give people time to level up Draenei Shamans, do all the PvP that they want to get any kind of high warlord gear moving into TBC and things like that. It would allow a lot of time for all those things. So for June 1st, I was very shocked at this date. Let's talk about the realistic nature of that first. So as far as June 1st goes, June 1st is a Tuesday. So one of the main criteria is that it would need to be a Tuesday. I was thinking initially maybe this is just a boilerplate kind of date that they threw in, knowing that this is going to come out in June, but they just threw in June 1st and they could change it later to June, I don't know, 29th or whatever they wanted to do. But it looks like June 1st is a Tuesday, so that is definitely a possible date as far as Tuesdays go. Let's think about the timeline as well. It may make sense for them to try to pump out TBC as early as possible because 9.1, which is for Shadowlands, also is something that they've been putting on the back burner, and they also need to get released because the content in Shadowlands is getting stale. It looks like they're focusing really on Classic and trying to get Classic out before that 9.1 release. And so this could be a reason why they're trying to expedite the release of the game. Now let's talk about the cons of that though. The biggest thing is the leveling. A lot of people want pre-patch so that they can level up their Blood Elf Paladins, their Draenei Shamans, or just any other class with the Draenei and Blood Elf race. If pre-patch comes out May 18th and live TBC comes out June 1st, that only leaves 2 weeks. Most people without any kind of, boosting or any kind of crazy hours playing the game, it's going to take them about 2 weeks to level up a toon from 1 to 60 alone, let alone get any kind of gear to be able to go out in the Outlands and not look like the the beta pre-made level 58 toons who had greens without any stats on them. And so in terms of leveling up new toons, I'd be shocked to see that short of a time frame, but it's not unrealistic. Also, there's people who wanted to do PvP and wanted to get their High Warlords gear and are stocking up on PvP marks. It would be very difficult to get all the gear that you want in as short of 2 weeks. I think somebody did the math and they were able to get about 5 pieces roughly in 8 hours a day for 2 weeks straight. So that would mean nonstop PvP in order to get those pieces. Obviously, I don't know if that math is perfect and premates can do it faster or other people might do it slower, etc. But it's very interesting as far as that speed goes. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that June 1st is a realistic date? That is, in one respect, incredibly exciting because it's so soon, and also in another respect, a oh crap kind of moment for everybody who wants to level up those Blood Elves and Draenei before it comes out. Part 3 is actually a PvP update. So I'm actually really excited about this. My stream actually started as an arena stream. So back in like 2014-ish, I believe, is when I started up my stream, and I only streamed for about 2 weeks, but it was high-rated Holy Paladin arenas, and so we were about 2,600 to 2,900 MMR. So I'm really excited for arenas to come back into the classic WoW scene, and I'll be doing a ton of them. So if you guys want to check out arenas, definitely check out the Twitch at twitch.tv/Arleus throughout TBC for those. But I was really curious how they were going to do things, because back in the day, there used to be battle groups, and there was rating requirements to get gear, and the ability to get Gladiator was much more difficult and things like that. And so now we have some actual information, and I want to run through it and kind of give my thoughts. So the very first thing is that arena teams are going to start at 0 rating, which I think is great. Diminishing returns, 15 to 20 second window. That's great. That's like normal for polymorphs and things like that. PvP gear is going to require consistent personal rating, but the interesting thing I saw is equip. So I believe, and I could be wrong back in the day, that I think you just needed the rating to purchase it, not to equip it. And so if you're going to leave your arena team, back in the day, if you left your arena team, you'd have to start over a whole new arena team. There was no like your personal rating stays at X rating. And so if you were to leave your arena team, I'm wondering if you wouldn't be able to equip your shoulders anymore that you got from a previous 2200. That's going to impact being able to play with your friends and things like that. So I think that's very interesting. I hope that it's just purchase and not equip as well, but I personally can't remember if that was a change or if that was how it was back in TBC. So if you guys can let me know in the comments down below. I really can't remember. I know that I jumped around teams a lot. And so I had my shoulders and I was jumping around teams. So I feel like it had to have been purchased, but I can't remember. But that could definitely impact the ability to play with your friends and leave teams and things like that. The other thing is that it looks like they're really focusing on making it so you have to participate in your team. So for example, you must have participated in 30% of your team's games the previous week. For those of you who don't know, there's additional team members that can be on a 3v3 and a 2v2 and a 5v5. Those players don't have to play, but they can all be on, almost think of it like a guild charter, and you can be on that team. And so this is very interesting because this means that in order to count as a part of the team, even just for the week, you need to play in 30% of the games from that week and be within 150 rating of your team, which means you can't just have, you can have a tune that's just parked there just to keep the team's name and just to keep the team going if people want to jump out in and out of the team. But in order to actually get the rating for that team, you're actually going to have to be playing those tunes. So there's not going to be a lot of people just getting up to a really high rating for the team and then just sitting there kind of idea. Moving on, it looks like we're going to have a new title of Infernal Gladiator, which is awesome. That's an awesome name. And it looks like the way that they're going to give out Gladiator is going to go back to the old system. So rank 1 is going to be 0.1% of the top teams. Now, this is a little bit of a variation from how it used to be. It literally used to be just rank 1. So this is a little bit different. But Gladiator is going to be 0.5%. So it's not like it is right now in retail where it's 2,400 and then 50 games. It is back to the 0.5%. Duelist 3%, Rival 10%, Challenger 35%, which is fantastic. So you won't be able to get Gladiator mid-season. You'll get it at the end. But if you can get, 0.1% of the top teams or 0.5% of the top teams, you can get a awesome title. It looks like also, though, again, personal rating is huge. And so personal arena rating needs to be within 100 points of your team's rating, and you must have participated in 20% of the team's games. This is going to make it so that you're really focused just on the 2v2, 3v3, or 5 people that are focused on the games. There will be some really hardcore people that can potentially get rank 1 with multiple people in the actual team. But typically, if you need to stay within 100 points, back in the day, the last week of arenas was insane. I mean, especially the last day. I mean, people were just jumping around the ratings like crazy. So needing to stay within 100 points of their rating might be difficult if the ratings are getting pumped from, let's just say, 2,600 to 2,750 or 2,800 the very last day with a bunch of the top teams playing. You may not be able to have that fourth person on your team in a 3v3 or something like that get to that rating. So that's going to be very interesting. And you also have to participate in 20% of the games, which means if you're going to have 4 people, you're going to have to be a little bit tactical with how you're doing all this stuff. Also then, just for a fun thing, tornadoes will randomly spawn in that Grand Arena in Season 1. So I think the PvP changes are really good. It's going to really focus on a team-specific dynamic rather than jumping from team to team to team like it is right now. There won't be massive potentials to boost people. You'll be able, if this gear equip thing stays what it is, and I think that's probably the reason why, you won't be able to just boost a person up unless it's Gladiator players jumping out of their team, jumping into your team, running you all the way up to 2,200, which takes some time. Back in the day, I think it took us 54 games. We went 52-2 to about 2,250. So it would take about 50-ish games probably, just as a rough estimate, to get up to that 2,200. So I think that so I think it sucks in the fact that you won't be able to play with your friends, but I think it also might be really good because then you may not be able to get the carrying kind of aspect and the boosting kind of aspect of TBC and PvP. So this is going to be really interesting to see what they do. This is a lot of big news, though. I'm really curious what you guys think about all this news. Let me know down in the comments down below. Again, hit that sub button, and I will see you guys in the next video.